Hey, Mikey, I've got a joke for you that fits right in with today's podcast subject. Well, sort of. Why won't bootleggers work with anyone who has a speech impediment?
Why?
It's too whiskey. Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 31 of Mr. Robin's Hood Podcast, another of our in-between episodes. We're coming to you digitally from Studio B here at the compound just east of Fargo, Oklahoma. This one today is titled Fear and Loathing in Woodward County, and you'll soon learn why. This was originally published in my Cosmic City blog under the title Fear and Loathing in Woodward County, The Saga Continues, on May 20th, 2015. I'm Robin Hohweiler, or Mr. Robin to you, a well-known campground developer hereabouts. I'm joined, as always, by Mikel Mauree Robinson, also known in the podcast uni as Mikey on the mic. Mikey is known for extending her college wrestling career, where she was a world champion pudding wrestler, to post-college, where she became known for wrestling angry badgers. A girl's got to do what a girl's got to do.
But when I was wrestling the Angry Badgers, they let me use a baseball bat.
You had the advantage,
I
the
did.
upper hand.
I did.
Since this was from some time back, I'll offer a bit of context. This post found us preparing for the Memorial Day weekend by creating campsites and boat ramps on Lake Mountebank in the North Pasture here at the compound. It had been raining a lot that May, and there was water standing in places where it hadn't before. The reference to Korean plum wine comes from an actual experience I had while traveling overseas many years ago. So,
yeah, what's the story? What's the story about the plum wine?
So we're in Korea, and we were invited to this banquet, and it was a huge venue. It was tiered, kind of almost like an amphitheater in a way, indoors, though. And they had hundreds of these tables along those tiers. And we showed up early. We walked into this place, and they had already poured these glasses of plum wine. The auditorium just reeked. I mean, it was horrid. And the
so
smell,
it didn't smell good.
No,
the plum wine smelled bad.
Awful.
Oh,
and it was pervasive, and it kind of and you could get, there was probably a little bit of a contact high just
being in the vicinity of that much poured plum wine. And
so we were kind of interested to try it. And I got to tell you, it was just pure hooch.
I was going to say 1 cup and y'all are falling down.
It was at least, I'm sure it was 80 or 90 proof.
Oh my gosh.
That's not wine. That's hooch.
That's hooch. Hootie hooch. Plum hooch.
So anyway, here we go.
My favorite kind.
Busy day yesterday around the compound. The plans for Lake Mountebank, providing Fort Supply Lake overflow, are proceeding apace. The brother-in-law came by with his front-end loader, and we managed to get the boat ramps, 4 total, dug. We had to make the boat ramps very long because the lake continues to enlarge. The wife pointed out that once we return to normal Oklahoma weather pattern and my lake dries up in August, the only thing remaining will be 4 ditches with a serious downhill grade. I pointed out that if we get a lot of snow in winter, we can always open the Mountebank ski resort. She rolled her eyes and walked off. She's just mad because I only told her about my memorable Memorial Day weekend plans after the brother-in-law showed up with the equipment. Nothing subtle about a big-ass tractor with a front-end loader wheeling through the yard and through the fence on the north side. It needed an opening anyway in that fence. for the RVs to come through. Once she learned what I was up to, the wife took to sitting on the porch, pulling on a bottle of Jack Daniels and chain-smoking hand-rolled cigarettes, a sure sign that she's really pissed. She doesn't like rare Tennessee sipping whiskey and has never smoked in her life. Later that morning, Cousin Fred, with his truckload of coin-operated, solar-powered RV electric hookups, arrived. That was soon followed by friend Lamont with his truckload of portable sanitation facilities. The question then became how closely to the lake shore to put everything, given that this weather is expected to continue through the week and indeed into the weekend. Lake Mountebank continues to expand with every raindrop. I'm not complaining, mind you. Hopefully all this rain will bring this region out of its prolonged drought. Just need to figure out where to park the RVs that no doubt will soon be arriving. My brother-in-law made a helpful suggestion that we might be able to control the size of the lake if we were to use the backhoe to cut in a small channel that leads off this ridge. Great idea, but I'm worried about flooding the town of Fargo in the distance.
Yeah, your Lake Mountebank sounds like a bad idea. I don't know.
I do have lingering concerns that Memorial Day around here will be a washout, with rain predicted all week. If this weekend doesn't work out, we'll set our sights on Flag Day, Sunday, June 14th, assuming there's still a Lake Mountebank then. And to think, I moved back to northwest Oklahoma for a more relaxed, less harried lifestyle.
How'd that work out for you?
Not so good. As all of this was taking place, Cousin Fred received a call from his roommate, Mr. Kim, who was driving his big RV, which we planned to turn into a mobile bar from which he will sell his homemade Korean plum wine hooch.
Ooh, good. So you'll have all these RVs, all these naked, passed out people on the lawn, people drowned in Mountebank Lake. I mean, here's a disaster.
It's a typical weekend here at the compound. It seems that Mr. Kim stopped at the Cherokee Trading Post on his way here.
And he pet the bison, and the bison kicked his ass.
Mr. Kim loves him some buffalo burgers.
Yeah, that's why the bison kicked his ass.
Unfortunately, an Oklahoma ABLE, for those of you who don't live in this great state, that's Alcoholic Beverage Law Enforcement, canine unit had pulled into the Cherokee Trading Post.
You can't have alcohol and
for lunch.
Drugs in the same.
Yeah. The hooch-sniffing dog in the back of the unit got a whiff of the Korean plum wine hooch and flipped out.
Took one sip and was passed out.
The ABLE officer let the dog out of the vehicle, and Fido, not his real name, began circling and sniffing around the outside of the RV. The ABLE unit summoned an Oklahoma Highway Patrol unit. Now there's law moving all around the outside of the RV trying to figure out why a vehicle with Arkansas plates reeks of hooch wine. Mr. Kim remained inside the restaurant and called Cousin Fred. Cousin Fred's best advice was for Mr. Kim to hightail it out of the back of the restaurant, and try to make his way to Sealing, Oklahoma, where we would come pick him up. Admittedly, I was beginning to get a bit nervous. Copious amounts of untaxed homemade hooch, wine or otherwise, is a capital offense in this state. Besides, it wouldn't be much of a memorable Memorial Memorial Day weekend without untaxed, refreshing adult beverages. Mr. Kim told...
No, the untaxed part.
Yeah. Mr. Kim told Cousin Fred that the Oklahoma State troopers were standing with weapons drawn next to his table inside the restaurant and wanted to have a discussion with him outside. Mr. Kim hung up. Those of us on the shore of Lake Mountebank stood wringing our hands and worrying about what would become of Mr. Kim. The brother-in-law climbed back up into the cab of his tractor and took off. Said he didn't want to be around when OHP showed up at the compound to raid the place. The wife remained on the porch, chugging Jack Daniels and chain-smoking the hand-rolled tobacco. She was now laughing loudly as events continued to unfold.
Yeah, she was probably like, ha, 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 USOB.
After an hour, Cousin Fred's phone rang. It was Mr. Kim. He said that he was back on the road headed toward Woodward. Woodward. He said that he was back on the road headed toward Woodward. Apparently, he had built a huge hooch holding tank. Say that 5 times fast. Into the floor of the RV that is undetectable if you don't know where to look. He offered law enforcement on the scene that the smell was left over after his nephew borrowed the RV and had a wild weekend of partying on the Lake of the Ozarks.
And just spilled all this hooch ass wine in the floor.
He told them that he had been trying to get the smell out, but wasn't having much luck. They bought it after a thorough search of the inside. Go figure. Okay, got to get back to work. The weekend is nearly upon us, and there's a break in the rain action. Update. It just came out of the house. The wife is still on the porch, laughing maniacally, muttering something about biblical rains while singing My Philadelphia Home. That is all. So that's it, Mikey. What do you think?
Well, I think that I want to try the Korean plum hooch wine for myself, but it seems really risky. Like people would come after me. And also, let's live in an RV. Screw it. It seems like a lot of fun.
North Pasture.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah, you know, that actually went on. That was a whole series.
The RVs?
The RVs showing up.
What's your RV park name?
I don't know.
Oh my gosh, we have to get one.
Oh, we got to come
up
with something.
We got to think of something. I'm not feeling very clever with any names right now, but we'll come up with something.
If you have, there were several of these blog posts that were cereals. So I ought to string some of those.
Yeah, like.
Well, there was I did a whole
like cereals, like Cheerios.
No.
I'm just kidding.
I did a whole thing on a thrash metal festival.
Oh yeah,
and I got a lot of traction with that. I got to go back and start digging some of that stuff out.
The thrash metal one sounds fun.
If you have any questions for either Mikey or myself about today's episode,
and if your question is like, where does Mr. Robin come up with this stuff? I have no idea. I did not know Mr. Robin then. He is just as crazy now as he is then, but I still could not help you.
More sleep.
And I don't know where the shit comes from. So just as he would say it to me when I come up with crazy stuff, it comes and you have to get it out. And Mr. Robin gets it out in these ridiculous blog posts that are now wonderful in between episodes that I get to tear apart and talk shit about.
You can email us at mr.robin@mrrobinshood.com or mikey@mrrobinshood.com. Also, you can find us on Facebook at Mr. Robin's Hood Podcast. As always, you can also reach out to Mikey or me via Podaphone at 580-827-0472. Maybe you just want to get something off your chest, or you're feeling some butt pain because of something we said during the podcast. Give us a call.
Maybe your butt pain's from sitting in that RV too long.
There you go. Yeah, particularly if you're running that RV over Oklahoma Road.
Yeah, your butt would be in some serious pain.
You can leave us a voicemail. Text us if you have a question, concern, complaint, compliment, suggestion, whatever. Just don't be a dick about it. In the meantime, tell all your friends to listen to this podcast as though their lives depend upon it. As always, you can stream or download episodes of Mr. Robin's Hood Podcast wherever you usually find that sort of nonsense. We're on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, the Podbean app, Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, and our YouTube channel. Just go on YouTube and search for Mr. Robin's Hood Podcast. You can also stream them directly from our Podbean website at mrrobinshoodpodcast.podbean.com for free.
It's all free.
So we'll close now by reminding everyone, as we always do, to stay hungry, stay foolish, and most importantly,
stay weird. Bye for now.